Weapon 1. The Halo Array from Halo. The Halo Array is a network of 7 ring-shaped megastructures, each 10,000 kilometers in diameter, positioned at strategic points across the galaxy. Individually, each ring can eliminate every sentient life form within a radius of 25,000 light-years. Fired simultaneously, they cover the entire galaxy. The mechanism targets nervous systems specifically. Anything complex enough to serve as a host for the flood parasite simply ceases to function. Plants survive. Simple animals survive. Everything above a certain neurological threshold dies instantly across an incomprehensible volume of space. What makes the Halo Array genuinely unsettling as a concept is the intent behind it. It wasn't built by villains. It was built by a civilization that had exhausted every other option and chose genocide as the responsible choice. The Forerunners fired it, killed themselves along with everything else, and considered it a moral act. The rings weren't a weapon of conquest. They were a reset button for a galaxy that had run out of alternatives. That framing is what separates it from most superweapons in fiction. It's not about power. It's about desperation at a civilizational scale. Weapon 2. The Crucible from Mass Effect 3. The Crucible is the most ambitious construction project in the Mass Effect universe, a superweapon assembled from plans passed down by dozens of previous civilizations across hundreds of thousands of years, each one adding to the design before being wiped out by the Reapers before completion. The weapon works by interfacing with the Citadel to release an energy pulse across the entire mass relay network simultaneously. Depending on the choice made at the end of Mass Effect 3, that pulse either destroys all synthetic life in the galaxy, merges synthetic and organic life together, or grants all synthetic life true independence. The delivery mechanism is the entire galactic infrastructure of faster-than-light travel, turned into a broadcast antenna covering every inhabited system at once. What makes the Crucible interesting beyond its scale is what it represents narratively. Every civilization that contributed to its design died without ever getting to use it. Humanity finished it. The weight of that inherited effort, thousands of years of dead civilizations passing a blueprint forward in the hope that someone would eventually survive long enough to fire it, gives it a significance most superweapons don't carry. Weapon 3. The Dark Star from Stellaris. Stellaris operates at a scale most games don't attempt, and its crisis-level superweapons reflect that. The Colossus-class weapons in Stellaris include several planet-ending options, but the most extreme is the option to crack a planet entirely, fragmenting it into an uninhabitable debris field. The process is irreversible and immediate. A world that took billions of years to form and potentially billions of lives to populate is converted into an asteroid belt in a single firing event. The game doesn't dramatize it. An animation plays, the planet disappears from the map, and the game continues. What Stellaris does that no other game on this list attempts is embed planetary destruction into a functioning political and ethical system. Firing a Colossus weapon triggers immediate diplomatic consequences across every civilization in the galaxy. Certain governments make it constitutionally illegal. Others treat it as a legitimate instrument of war. The weapon is the same in every case. What changes is the civilization holding it, and the calculation they made before pulling the trigger. That context makes it more unsettling than any cinematic treatment could.
Weapon 4. The Star Killer Base from Star Wars Battlefront 2. The Death Star destroys planets. Star Killer Base, featured as a central threat in Star Wars Battlefront 2's campaign, destroys entire star systems. It works by drawing energy directly from a star, consuming it entirely, and firing the compressed result as a beam of phantom energy that travels faster than light and splits mid-flight to strike multiple targets simultaneously. In the film and its surrounding media, it destroys the Hosnian system, 5 populated worlds including the Republic capital, in a single firing event visible from across the galaxy with the naked eye. The engineering required involves housing the weapon inside a planet-sized structure and feeding it an entire star as ammunition, meaning each firing leaves the base's host system without a sun. The base has to travel to a new star between shots. It is a weapon that eats solar systems to kill solar systems, leaving dead, sunless space behind it wherever it goes. The logistics of that, a planet-sized structure migrating between stars as a reload mechanism, is one of the more genuinely creative pieces of superweapon design in mainstream science fiction. Weapon 5, the Peacekeeper, from Endless Space 2. Endless Space 2 is a grand strategy game that doesn't get nearly the attention it deserves, and its endgame superweapon reflects the same quiet ambition as the rest of its design. The Peacekeeper is a system-level destructor, a weapon capable of triggering a star's collapse into a singularity, consuming every planet, moon, and structure in the system simultaneously. Unlike most superweapons that arrive dramatically, the Peacekeeper works on a timer after deployment, giving inhabitants no realistic means of escape given the distances and travel times involved. The star goes first. Everything else follows. What makes it distinct from other entries on this list is the game's framing around its use. Endless Space 2 tracks your civilization's alignment across multiple ethical axes throughout the entire campaign. A civilization that is governed justly for hundreds of in-game years and then fires the Peacekeeper faces internal political collapse, faction rebellions, and permanent diplomatic isolation. The weapon works exactly as intended. The civilization that used it rarely survives the consequences. Weapon 6, the Marker Network, from Dead Space. The markers in Dead Space are not conventional weapons. They were never labeled as weapons at all, which is precisely what makes them the most disturbing entry on this list. The markers are alien obelisks seated across planets by an entity called the Brethren Moons, incomprehensibly large necromorph creatures that drift through deep space. Each marker broadcasts a signal that drives nearby humans into obsession, psychosis, and eventually converts biological mass into necromorphs, hostile, reanimated tissue controlled by the signal. When enough biological material has been converted on a given planet, a convergence event occurs, pulling all of that mass together into a new moon. The planet is consumed entirely in the process. It is a weapon disguised as a religious artifact, designed to convert entire planetary populations into the raw material for a new predator, and it has been deployed across countless worlds over millions of years. The horror of Dead Space isn't the necromorphs. It's the realization that every planet the moons have visited looked exactly like Earth before the marker arrived, and nobody there saw it coming either.